everyone, and welcome back to our next session. Today we are joined by Marjorie Moore, the CEO and co-founder of ehsAI, and today she will be talking about better data, better knowledge, better compliance. Welcome to the new way. So without further ado, I'm sure you have a lot to talk about, Marjorie, but over to you.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, perfect.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for having me here. It is a real pleasure to be part of this conference and panel. Let me tell you a little bit about ehsAI. We're kind of new to the EHS kind of IT ecosystem, if you will, but certainly AI is not new to our vocabulary. We are based in Vancouver, Canada. We're about 40 people, about 15 spread out across North America, but most of our team is in Vancouver, Canada, including our machine learning and data labeling team. We do all our data labeling in-house with linguists, engineers, and folks very familiar with requirements. We've won lots of awards, and we certainly have made a bit of a mark in environmental health and safety compliance management, and we actually just got our first patent a couple months ago. So I can't wait to show you and share with you our story. It's been quite a story. We were incorporated in 2018, and we just come out 5 months ago with a full self-serve platform. And what we're trying to do is address a very complicated topic. I'm sure everybody here is familiar with just how complicated compliance is. The last couple speakers have provided some awesome tools to look at to help you manage that. We're taking one specific, very time-consuming step in a compliance workflow and accelerating that by about 100%. There's just such a fast pace of change in the market, and tools are changing very quickly. It really behooves folks to understand what's going on. And the problem that we're solving is just trying to help environmental health and safety managers like Librio get their arms around not just regulatory requirements, though, but also all the other document types that provide requirements to you that you have to keep your mind on and your company in compliance with. And that includes the pyramid on the left, which is all the document types that ehsAI can deconstruct automatically. And it's a big, huge ecosystem of documents that companies and people have to read every day. It's a very manual process. It's about 3 billion a year just on that manual data transfer, reading a permit or a reg or a standard and hand transcribing it into Excel or into a tracking system. We have automated that. And it's pretty exciting, and here's just a fuzzy slide of what an EHS workflow looks like, something I put together years ago on how to go from a permit and a regulation right out to a different a task or be allocated to somebody. And lots of systems have grown up around these different workflows, and we're seeing a huge push towards full automation of that. And what we do at ehsAI, it's a SaaS platform, it's AI, it's again pretty new, but AI specifically has been around for quite some time. And my demo is going to be about 3 minutes, because basically you upload a document, a permit or a standard, you analyze that, you get all the actions out of it and all the requirements, and then you can send that off through APIs to a third-party system to track it. And we're using machine learning and natural language processing for that. Lots of customers. So here's some of the hottest areas that people are using our platform right now to deconstruct data, and some of the major sectors. Basically, any company or organization that has a footprint on the planet or has people working for them will have environmental health and safety obligations. And to date, it's kind of been a side of the desk or a huge outsourced problem to consultants to do this first step, which is go get the documents and then deconstruct it and really understand what the requirements are in those documents. So Title V is probably top of the list, really unwieldy. We have one customer, it took him 80 hours, 2 weeks to deconstruct 185-page Title V. We did it with our system in less than 3 hours, and he was able to get that actioned within a week versus probably would have taken several months. Just a quick look at the system, and I want to talk a little about why now is the time for AI and EHS, but this is what it looks like. You upload a document, you manage those documents. When they're done, you just delete them, and you download the output. Super simple. And we're really trying to make it simple. We're trying to kind of expose the huge cost of this hidden step, this kind of error-prone, many people in the process step, and just get that data in exactly the output that environmental health and safety professionals require in. So here's a screen capture of what it looks like, uploading a permit, any permit. And we're global. We manage 7 languages right now, and we're moving into about 130 languages. So if you've got a permit in German, you can upload it and download it in a nice, neat, structured format. So we're really using NLP to go from unstructured data to structured data. And we have lots of folks using it for creating their ISA registry. One customer who had thousands of pages of regulatory requirements from different countries, we were able to do that in just a few weeks, where it usually took them about 3 months. Compliance demonstration tables, we have folks that can use this output immediately. Obviously, audit checklist, you can now get feed your permits through and then just get an auditable checklist of what the requirements are. And we have people using it for contracts. There's very complicated contracts out there with very specific things a professional might need to do, or how you bill to the customer. And so people are getting creative with this platform, which is fantastic. And from our analysis over the last 2 years, we've kind of found that, a human, if they're tied to their desk and all they do is look at permits, regs, standards, applications, etc., they can probably do about 2,000 pages a month. With ehsAI, they can do about 20,000. And this is just, nobody's really going to do that. Nobody's just done document deconstruction all day long, all month. But this is to kind of give you an illustration of the impact. And the major benefits that people are seeing from a streamlined process is just mostly the consistency in the interpretation. Often there's many people interpreting a reg or a standard or even a permit. And so AI provides that consistent interpretation over and over. And our customers at headquarters are really loving that. And the folks at the facilities just love the speed to compliance. That I don't have to sit for hours and hours and hours or days or weeks reading every single document. Often companies don't. They just do not have the bandwidth. So they just focus on the most critical items. Also, the accuracy exceeds a human. It's affordable, and it just provides that compliance assurance. So we're kind of part of a more complicated workflow, and we're trying to streamline that. So just simplistic, kind of what we do, how it looks. We have, we don't do applicability, so that would be a company that would tell you what you need to comply with within a country or what permits you have. And there's lots of folks that can do that. You probably know that internally, or have consultants that do that. But once those documents are identified, you feed it into the system, we break it down, and then it can be fed directly to the Excel, other outputs, or through APIs to a third-party tracking system. And we work with a lot of different software companies, including Intellex. Services around it, obviously, are doing the applicability up front, and then maybe massaging the output into a specific task. But our roadmap has us providing full text access to regulations, so you can do just-in-time deconstruction. So you can go through, type in the citation for a state or Fed in the United States, and we're going to do Canada next, and then deconstruct that immediately. And then if you want to monitor it, just say, I want to monitor it, and then we'll monitor it for you every 2 weeks to show if there's a change. So that's pretty critical. We want to kind of be that all-in-one solution to help streamline this very complicated and error-prone process. And eventually our goal, and we're almost there with Intellex as a partner and a sister company, is actually going from a permit right to a task and executing that task within a couple minutes or an hour. That's where we want to go, because right now it's really time-consuming to put all that data into a tracking system. It takes quite some time to hand type it or get consultants to do it. And we bend that cost curve down by about 80%. It's just pretty transformative. So a few minutes on why now is the time. A lot of trends that propelled me to start this company with my co-founder, Greg Gasparez, back in 2018. And it's just really taken off. And the pandemic, sadly, but it also propelled people to look at digital solutions even faster. And some of our use cases are really focused around remote auditing and how to accelerate that and get more accurate data when people can't actually get to the facility that fast. Also, just AI and machine learning is kind of out of the lab. It's been fully deployed. I've got some slides on just how pervasive it is globally. And as we know, we've been talking about IoT revolution for years in our industry. People are really now embracing new technologies, and we've talked a lot about resilience today. And I think the next panel, we're going to dive in deeper into this. And as we know, EHS departments are always overstretched. People are retiring, moving around. And with the pandemic, that has accelerated. So how do we institutionalize knowledge? I don't have the time for an engineer with 25 years experience to just sit and read documents over and over and over. We've kind of replicated the way an EHS professional thinks to get that curated output. And now with ESG, another layer on top of companies. It was coming. We all saw it coming. This is no big surprise. I came from Bloomberg, very familiar with ESG back in the terminal when we were trying to democratize that data, make it accessible. Now that is absolutely a huge driver and another layer of compliance on top of folks. And ESG at the core is making sure that your data is complete, that you have that full record of compliance. And it just really wasn't that possible to do with humans in the past when you have maybe thousands of pages to weave through. AI is automating entire industries. If you're skeptical, this doc intel quote unquote market that we kind of fit into is very pervasive. Wealth tech, health tech. You probably know about fintech and legal tech, reg tech, and now compliance tech, which is where we fit in. And there are just hundreds of companies basically automating this manual reading of documents. And that's what we do in our industry. And at the moment, we're the only one doing it for all of those doc types. And taking a step back even further, this is a question I get from a lot of companies is basically, well, is AI here to stay? Are people actually using it? How skeptical are folks? And back in 2018, I got a lot of questions. Are you really AI? I'm like, yep, we are. Can you prove it? How does it work? People were super skeptical. That has completely really gone away because of stats like this. This is from last year as well, that companies are seeing their return on investment of AIs meeting expectations or exceeding expectations. And the top benefits include improved efficiency, better decision-making, and of course, improved customer experience. And the global market of AI is just going to explode now that people really know how to use it for specific tasks and big workflows. And I recommend everybody read the book, Competing in the Age of AI. It blew my mind. It was kind of my book since it was published last January. It really helps people see what industries are scalable and not scalable and how AI can actually absolutely transform that. So, getting to a little bit technical, because I've got a bunch of time and my demo truly is only about 3 minutes. What we do is we have 7 neural networks running in the background. And so when a document is uploaded, you check the health of that. And you can go through, if you like, and check the pages to make sure that if there are extraneous material in the columns or on the margins. And, we looked at a mining permit from 1977 that was scanned in, it was on an angle. I think there might have been bloodstains in the top corner. I mean, it was one hell of a permit. We were able to read that because we have the ability to see a document in all its dimensions. We're using Vision AI, NLP. We can read that information, and we're going to be moving from 7 languages to about 100 languages in the near future. And what specific part of deep learning are we using? And this is really critical to ESG and EHS compliance management, is we're using the deep neural network, kind of the deep learning component. And that's when a machine can continue to learn. So the more it's used, the more it's learned. We spent 3 years training this algorithm, and over the last 8 or 9 months, we have the hands-off platform. So every time somebody uploads a permit, the system learns. It's all abstracted, but it learns as it goes, and it gets better and better and better. And for ESG, just like EHS compliance, there's so much information you have to read that it can definitely be very onerous. So let me try in my last few minutes to click on this and see if we can get this to work. So I'm just going to go to turn my volume off and just let's skip ahead. So hopefully everybody can see this. I'll make it a bit bigger, but here's the interface. You browse to your files, you upload a PDF, and it can be a messy. Oh, you can. Oh, I'm sorry about that. Okay. How is that? How's that? Okay, excellent. So as I was saying, you just upload a presentation, a PDF file. Here's a bunch of different doc types right now that you can upload. We're going to be moving into SDSs. That is a major bear for a lot of people. They have to hand type hundreds of data points from hundreds of SDSs. So we'll be doing that next. You have a quick look at it to see, is it coming through? You pick the page range that you like. If it's a 200-page document, you could just do it in sections if you like. You go through and you confirm the elements. You screen out like the comments in the margin or scribbles or weird characters that it might have scanned in. You identify any tables, and specifically if there's a specific way you want to tag a table, you can do that too. We pride ourselves in the citation detection. That's actually what we got our patent for, which is pretty rare. And so we can identify any citation pattern, which is critical, because if you've read some permits and regulations, some of them don't have citations, some do. And the algorithm will actually detect the citations and be able to pull those out for each requirement. You verify any time driven. So we have actually smart fields. So for every requirement, we actually are able to get the frequency. And that's critical when you import this into a third-party system. Then you download the actual data in Excel, or through a button with APIs, we can send it to your preferred system. But it's super simple. Upload, check to make sure it's a healthy document, and then download the requirements. And for plans and procedures, you download commitments, for example. So slightly different nomenclature, use of language. So we have different types of output for different types of documents, like also with SDSs. And tables, we pull out the tables, we've digitized them, we put them in a tab, and we're working towards getting every single data element out of a table and matching it to the cited requirement. So, because tables are also a big problem for a lot of people. So that's basically it. Super simple, download, upload, and then get that data up into the hands of the right people to do the analysis. That's why we're here. Make your life simple. That's it. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Marjorie, so much. Really, really appreciate that. It's super interesting to see, how AI and these subsets of AI with deep learning and the deep neural network are being leveraged for these EHS use cases. And I think I think it kind of highlights the fact that these are technologies that have typically been leveraged. What we see in EHS a lot is leveraged outside of EHS, right? There's operationally or legally, and we're starting to understand how these are really, really valuable for worker health and safety, for compliance, for risk management. I think this is a really, really good application of it, and was a definitely insightful presentation. So really, really thank you so much. Again, with the questions, keep asking questions, ask questions throughout the whole event or the remainder of the event, and we'll make sure that Marjorie sees those. Yeah, and thank you so much. And I know we'll be chatting very shortly on the panel, so I will see you then. And for everyone else, please stick around, because we are going into our last session of the day, which is the final panel titled Next Practices, Building Operational and Worker Resilience at All Levels with Safety Technology. Thank you, and see you all shortly.